Hi, everybody. It's been a while since I've done a video message, and the way I do them is when I have something to say, I do a message, and if I don't, I don't. And in these past months, I do what I call incubate. I observe and I incubate ideas, and when something occurs to me that I think is worth sharing, I share. And so, obviously, something's occurred to me. And that's because I had this experience 2 days ago that has activated, has kind of brought together a number of thoughts that I've been having. And so I thought I would just share one of them, maybe a little more than one, but how I think of it is like it's my runway to lift off. And if it lifts off, then something else will come of it. But let me just say, this is what happened. 2 days ago, I took my mom out to dinner. And on the way home from dinner, I was driving home and I was at a stoplight. And, I'm just chatting with my mom and blah, blah, blah. And then the light turns green and I began to drive across the intersection. It was a very busy intersection. And I was slowly pulling out of to cross the intersection. I was the first car, and all of a sudden, this other car that should have stopped at the red light barreled through, just at full speed, coming right at my car. I mean, full speed. And I looked and I saw him coming, and when a car's coming at you full speed, you don't know what to do. Do you accelerate or do you slam on the brakes? But the instinct by driving is that you just slam on the brakes and stop and think he's going to pass in front of you. But he was coming right at me, and I slammed on the brakes, and I thought, oh my God, this is it. And he slammed on his brakes. And you could hear the car screeching the way tires do when they are on asphalt, going, and I just sat there waiting to get smashed, and everything like this happens in these microseconds, and it's like things get suspended, and you're watching as this car is coming toward you, and he turns the wheel, and the car is moving sideways now toward kind of an angle sideways, and all of a sudden it stops. It stops right next to my car. It had been going this speed, and it stopped. I could roll down my window and touch that car. That's how close it came. And it should have smashed into my car, smashed into it. And, I would have been killed, if not broken into pieces, as he would have been. The two of us would have been really killed. I mean, there's no way we could have survived that collision. And that we both looked at each other. We both looked in shock at each other. And it wasn't just in shock at what he had done, but shock that we survived it. That something, certainly wasn't his skill as a driver. And then he looks at me and he went, thank God. And I was like, no kidding. And all the traffic around us didn't move. I mean, first of all, we were in the intersection, but there was this silence, like in me. And then he, started to move his car back, and then I just kept going. And I got my mom home, and I went home, and I sat there all evening, and I thought, and it reminded me of years and years ago, when I was in college and I worked at Mars Candy Company, and I worked the 3 to midnight shift. And I've told this story a million times. But I was driving home at midnight, and I was driving down Oak Park Avenue. So if you know people who know the area, know that street. And I heard a voice, that guiding voice, and it said, slow down, a red truck is going to run the stop sign at the next street. And I didn't think, oh my, I've heard a voice. I simply slowed down like instruction, and I wasn't even conscious that I was receiving instruction. I simply slowed down. And then this red truck ran this stop sign. And I thought, oh my God, I was told to slow down and a red truck was going to run. And there's the red truck and there's the stop sign. And I remember giggling in a sort of mystical awe. Oh my God, you see everything. That is so cool. But that experience imprinted me. It imprinted me like, wow, you are everywhere. Wow, that is so cool. This experience 2 days ago was one of those experiences. Now, we're free to say, boy, were you lucky, but I don't believe in luck. I think luck's for amateurs. I think luck is what those who have not yet opened the eyes of their soul call experiences that have the handiwork of heaven behind them. That car should have killed the two of us, and something stopped it. And yesterday, I spent the day walking around my village thinking, I almost didn't live to see this day. I almost didn't live to see this day. I never had that thought before. I never had a thought like that before. And everything, so I looked at everything as if I would have not seen it, as if I needed to see it like, wow, I almost wouldn't have seen this. I almost didn't see this. I wouldn't have seen this if that accident happened. I wouldn't have seen this. I wouldn't have seen that. I wouldn't have heard this. I wouldn't have been here. I couldn't have done this. Everything felt new. Everything felt so incredible. And then there's this particular homeless man that is in Oak Park. And I've spoken, and there he was. And you're not going to believe this, and I'm not making it up, but his name is Raphael, like the angel. So I sat down with him, I bought him lunch, and I sat down and I said, I think I need to talk with you today because that's the kind of person I am. That's how I think, and I think in those terms. So I bought him lunch, and we sat there talking. And I felt like I needed to do something to share the grace of survival, to share the grace of life with him. Like I needed to channel this grace of life to someone else, that I needed to infuse him with hope, that I needed to, and so I didn't tell him about what happened. I just sat there and prayed. I want him to get charged up. I want him to feel like he can make his life work. Just run it through him. I felt like, and then it occurred to me that when we're given these incredible blessings, that we should find a way to bless someone else with them, that we should pass it on this way, that we should openly seek a way to turn blessings into something that we pass on like a string of pearls, that who else can benefit from this? Who else can benefit from this incredible gift? And as I thought, I've obviously not stopped thinking about this. The chain reaction from an experience like that is that you realize your life can end at any minute. I mean, at any second, it can be over. At any second, you can be taken from your life. There's no such thing as a diet that guarantees longevity, or, your exercise program or your way of life. It could end in a second. None of that is your way to longevity. Your life is here until it's not. Until it's not. And that every day is this very precious, precious experience of being here. And how we look at that experience is up to us. But I will tell you that looking at every day as through the eyes of, wow, this could just evaporate that fast, makes you appreciate everybody and everyone in your life with a little more grace around it, with a little more grace. And I'm going to take this into another thought that I've had, which is that, we've spent a lot of time talking about, we talk about like our energy fields and our energy center, and how many times I talk to people who say, my energy isn't quite up to standard, or they refer to their energy anatomy. But I think it's time that we begin to extend what we know to be true to a bigger field of consciousness, to a much bigger field of consciousness. If you have an energy field, so does everybody else, which means how do we live in the consciousness that we all have energy fields? And that if you have an energy field and I do, how then do we conduct ourselves with each other? How then do we manage our psychic fields? What is the energetic protocol we should be living, knowing that we are creatures of energy, knowing that I now need to actually be mindful of the energetic nature of all life, because I am part of the energetic nature of all life. I am a part of that. It is a big leap for us, I think, to extend ourselves beyond our personal energetic world, to then realize I have to up this into the greater reality that all life breathes together, that I am in fact breathing with the whole. And how would that change the way you think and the way you live? And if you really lived in the consciousness that there's only now, that this day will never come again, that every thought I have is actually a powerful act of creation. It's hard to live at that altitude. It's really hard, but if that is the power of energetic consciousness, and then indeed the consciousness of grace, what are we waiting for? Why can't we kind of gather our forces together and learn how to do that and really make that commitment to live in energy consciousness, not just so far as our diet is concerned, but so far as life is concerned. I just think that's a thought I would leave with you, that the invisible world is ever present. And when it comes to your own private life, I would ask you to kind of, take a look around, and those little things that happen to you that you would consider good luck or coincidence or just one of those things, what if they're not? What if what's behind that is the handiwork of heaven making sure that you're safe, or making sure that something goes in the right way for you? What if that's the handiwork of something magnificently benevolent watching over you? How would that change your life if you really knew that? If you knew that, and if you embraced that, and really thought, there's something greater than me that is governing my life. And I'm not speaking about an off-planet man, male God. I'm not. I'm talking about organic divinity, the organic nature of the divine, which is in all forces, which is in the nature of life. So anyway, 2 days ago, I was reminded yet again of the incredible, delicate brevity of life, and that somehow or other, divine interference and protection happens in the most magnificent ways and sometimes the most amazing ways. And I choose not to see it as luck. Not at all. Not when a car is speeding toward me that fast and stops that incredibly, where everybody is awestruck at how we avoided that collision, and that both the other driver and I look at each other and realize heaven must have interfered in this, or we both would be dead. And I wonder what he's thinking too. And I just want to share that grace with all of you. And I hope in some way it inspires you. It inspires you to look around in your life and think maybe, just maybe, heaven's watching over you in some magnificent way, hidden in the small details of your life. Thank you.